I wanted to come back on here and make an addendum to the original video that I recorded. I recorded that first portion of this video the day after Kobe Bryant died, which would have been that Monday evening. And so I knew that there was more that I wanted to say about his passing, but I couldn't quite come up with the words. So I decided to hold off on uploading the video until after I could think of what it is that I wanted to say and add to this video. So what I wanted to add to this video is that I went on the internet and did some research and was reading some news articles about the passing of Kobe Bryant. And what I found out is that he left behind a estimated $600 million in assets. So essentially his family is set for life and for future generations if they play their cards right and manage their money well. So his family has nothing to worry about. When I say his family, I mean his wife and his surviving children. I don't know so much about his immediate family, his nuclear family consisting of his mother and father and his sisters, because from what I understand, he cut them out of his will and he was estranged from them for about 5 or 6 years leading up to his death because of some incident that occurred whereby his mom sold some of his old sports memorabilia through an auction house for over $1 million. So they had a falling out about that, and because of that, or maybe part of the reason for him being estranged from his family is because of that incident. So as far as I know, they didn't inherit anything from Kobe Bryant's estate, which to me is very unfortunate, because if it weren't for his mom and dad, he probably would have never become the person that he is, because remember, his father was a player with the NBA back in his day, and then he moved the family over to Italy, where he played with a professional sports league in Italy for like 8 years. So Kobe Bryant and his siblings lived in Italy and got to partake of the culture over there in Europe for 8 years or more. And I'm quite sure that his father taught him some of the ropes of professional sports and helped him to train to become the great basketball player that he is, or that he was. The bottom line for me is that if it weren't for his family, his mom and dad especially, he would have probably never became the person that he was. So I think it's just wrong. From where I stand, it looks wrong to me that he would cut his parents out of the will, but that's just coming from my opinion as a person who's an outsider looking in. I don't know the intricacies of their relationship, the relationship that he had between his parents and his siblings. So maybe he had his own reasons for why he decided not to make provisions for his mom and dad. There's things that people on the outside don't know. I'll leave it at that, my opinion about that situation at that. And so another thing that I wanted to add to this video is that this situation is like a reminder, or it should be a lesson for the general population, that we should have our affairs in order. Because like I said, Kobe Bryant's family is set because he left behind a fortune of $600 million. So his family has nothing to worry about, but that's not the case for the average person in the United States. Most people living in the United States are living paycheck to paycheck and don't even have $1,000 in emergency savings, let alone a retirement fund. So a person who has children depending on them and a spouse should at the very least have a life insurance policy where they have made burial arrangements and will be able to cover the cost of a funeral and a memorial service, because so many people die without making provisions. It's something that is very morbid to think about, and I believe that's part of the reason why so many people don't bother making arrangements and ensuring that they have made plans so that it won't be a burden to their surviving family members. But it's something that has to be done because, like it or not, we all got to go. And it's unfair to leave your family members to think about, to scramble and worry about making funeral arrangements. Not only that, when a person dies and leaves behind a spouse and minor children and bills, that's an income taken away from the household. So a life insurance policy would be very beneficial in that case, because at least you would have some sort of safety cushion, a financial safety cushion, in the event that one of the income earners were to die, and at least the surviving spouse would have some money left in order to pay some bills for X amount of time. One of my relatives lost her husband several years ago. She and her husband had a young son together at the time. He died at the age of 36. Unfortunately, he didn't have any life insurance. And so the good thing is that his mom had gotten this Gerber life insurance from when he was a baby, and she kept the policy active up until the time that he died. So she was the one that was able to use the proceeds from the life insurance to pay for his funeral, and I doubt that his mother offered any of the remaining proceeds to his widow, but I guess that's neither here nor there, because his mother was the one that paid the premium on the life insurance policy, so therefore his wife probably would not be entitled to any of the life insurance payout. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying all of this to say that had my relative's husband and she had been more responsible people, that they would have not had to be reliant upon his mom in order to pay for burial costs, and his widow would have been in a better position financially if they had a life insurance policy, and she would not have had that much to worry about in terms of how she would pay her bills and have enough money to raise their son. She was able to apply for Social Security benefits, and so she receives a monthly check from the Social Security Administration for her son. And I think she's going to continue to receive that until he reaches the age of 18. It's just one of those facts of life that you have to be prepared for. I haven't mentioned this before, but just this past year, I lost 3 people that I was acquainted with. I lost 2 relatives to cancer, and I lost another person. In fact, he was one of my brother's best friends when my brother was a teenager. He was murdered. He got into an altercation with this guy, and the guy took out a gun and shot him and killed him. And I'm quite sure that my brother's friend would have never imagined that that day would have been his last day on earth. But the thing is, nobody knows what the future holds, so you should always be prepared for that eventuality of the Grim Reaper coming to knock on your door. So that's all I have to say. Until the next video, I'm out.